My name is Kaatje Lomme. I'm 23 years old and I studied the Bachelor Arts and Culture here at Maastricht University, and I currently live and work in London. When I came here to the open day at Maastricht University, I remember being told about the different specializations, and I was completely sure that I wanted to do the art specialization. And I even remember being told about them, and someone noticed the culture of knowledge and technology one, and I was like, I'm really bad at maths, I don't like science, that's definitely not going to be the one for me. But then as I sort of was introduced in the, how do they call it, like the first phase of the bachelor, the first year and a half, I was introduced to these other subjects, and I actually found out that I was really interested in them. So I decided to specialize in cultures of knowledge and technology. I wrote my bachelor thesis on the history of psychiatric classification, and in the third year of my bachelor I did an internship in a museum in Ghent in Belgium on the history of psychiatry, and there I was involved in setting up this exhibition on the history of anorexia, and I looked for artifacts to be shown in the exhibition, and we visited different galleries and people with collections and things that could be in the exhibition. I also did a lot of research, so I sort of in that internship got to apply all the knowledge and skills that I had developed here within the university, but then to apply them to the real world. So that was really, really interesting. Yeah,
and perhaps more broadly, why did you choose arts and culture as a program in the first place?
Well, one of the things that I remember that I was really fond about was the PBL system. I just really like to be active and involved in the learning process rather than to just sit back and to write down things that the professor says and then at the exam to write down the notes that I got into my head and then reproduce them. So I think it's really good that you have to be involved and that you have to be debating, and it's also something that now in my work I find really useful, that you're used to talking to people and you're used to chairing sessions, so it's definitely been a very good choice for me.
Okay, and then so in terms of what came next for you from arts and culture, what did you go on to do after that?
Yeah, so during my time at arts and culture I found out that I was really interested in the interaction between culture and medicine. So I decided to do a master's in Dublin in a course called Social and Cultural History of Medicine. So even though I really enjoyed my time here in Maastricht, I felt like it would be a good step for me to move abroad and to learn new language, new people, new things, so that's what I did. Actually, when I was there, I found out how useful it was to have been taught in the PBL system, because in my master's we had to write a lot of essays. We were sort of working in a similar construction as the PBL group, and I was already used to this because I'd been doing this all throughout my bachelor's. But the other people in my group who had been taught, most of them had done a history degree in Dublin. They'd never done anything like this, so the first time we were in this group session, I was talking a lot and I was being very constructive and making a contribution to the group, whereas the others were a bit uncomfortable with it. So that for me was a very good experience, and sort of showed me how relevant it was that I had done this bachelor.
Yeah, and then what did that then lead into? So where are you working now, and what does that role involve?
Okay, so while I was finishing my master's, I was already thinking about what I wanted to do next, and I decided that I wanted to move to London. So while I was writing my master thesis, I was sending out application letters to institutions that I was really interested in, just to tell them about my CV and what I had done, and that I was really interested to work for them. Of course, most of them didn't get back to me, but in the end, one of them did. So I started to work for this charity called Global Initiative on Psychiatry, and they support psychiatrists in countries such as Georgia, Sri Lanka, India, and I write funding applications. So one of the things that you get taught during your bachelor here at Arts and Culture is to write really good constructive essays, things that have an introduction, a middle, and an end, and that's definitely very useful for me writing these funding applications, so that's been very useful. Another job that I have at the moment is with Imperial College, one of the biggest universities in London. And I work for the Mental Health Research Network. So I work in psychiatric research, which probably isn't something that you would think about when you say arts and culture. But it's just because I found out during my studies that I was really interested in it, and it sort of developed. I think it's very important within arts and culture that even though it's quite general, that you find your own little niche and your own thing that you're interested in and that you further develop it.